This is the United States of America, one of the most powerful empires in all of human history. If we look at other powerful empires in history, none of them were as isolated from the rest of the world as America is. And yet, it has exerted control over the world in a way that no other empire ever has. Since 1890, America has remained the world's #1 economy. Despite having only 5% of the world's population, it controls nearly 30% of the world's wealth and resources. Its share in global manufacturing is about 20%, and when it comes to military spending, America alone accounts for nearly 40% of the world's total military expenditure. But the question is, how was this even possible? The biggest secret factor behind this is its unique geography. North America's geography is so gifted that it was almost inevitable that the civilization settling here would eventually become a world superpower. And the hero of this story is its unmatched river system, especially the Mississippi River. Starting from Lake Itasca and flowing into the Gulf of Mexico, this is North America's second and the world's fourth longest river, which is connected to about 30 other rivers and lakes in America. In fact, North America's largest river, the Missouri River, also merges into it at one point. This entire river system has given the United States economic and strategic advantages, because of which 31 of its states are directly connected, forming a continuous navigable waterway with a total length of 4,000 kilometers. And this very waterway is the foundation of America's rise as a global power. The real strength of the Mississippi River is not just its length and width, but rather its navigability. That is, the flow and width of its waters are so perfect that all kinds of ships can travel here without any obstacles. If any ship enters it from the Gulf of Mexico, it can reach directly to America's northern border. Such rivers prove to be game changers for generating economic activity in any country because compared to rail and road, water transport is not only easier but also 10 to 30 times cheaper. This is why the factories and agricultural farms located along the Mississippi River are able to export their products to the rest of the world very easily and at a low cost. Because of this one river, around 1.2 million jobs have been created throughout this entire region. And since many other major rivers are connected to it, a lot of American cities automatically become port cities from where goods are shipped to the global market. Because of this unmatched river system, America also has the world's most fertile irrigated land. The warm and dry climate on the west side is perfect for wheat production, while the humidity on the east side is ideal for corn and soybeans. That's why America is the world's largest corn producer, the second largest soybean producer, and the fourth largest wheat producer, and 92% of its agricultural exports depend solely on this river system. And as a result, the Mississippi River generates nearly $345 billion in trade every year. It handles and transports around 630 million tons of cargo via ships. If there is any other river in the world at this level, it is China's Yangtze River, the world's third longest river on which 40% of China's GDP depends and through which 2.6 billion tons of cargo pass every year. Now you can imagine how critical rivers are to the economic power of any country. And it's no surprise that the world's first and second largest economies are heavily dependent on their respective rivers. Another critical factor for any country's economic growth is its coastline, and in this regard, America has a huge advantage. America has the world's 8th longest coastline, stretching about 20,000 kilometers, which is nearly 5 times longer than the entire African continent's coastline. The difference is that Africa's coastline has many islands and natural barriers that block shipping routes, whereas America's coastline is mostly open and accessible. And most importantly, America has coastlines on both the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. This means that on one side it gets direct trade routes to Asia and on the other side to Europe and Africa without having to pay tolls, fees, or taxes to any third country. This very geographical advantage sets it apart from and makes it unique compared to all other superpowers in history. If we zoom out and look at the map, America is very far from the rest of the world, with vast deep oceans on both sides. If you look from the west side, there is the Atlantic Ocean, which is 5,000 kilometers wide between it and Europe and Africa, and from the east side, there is the Pacific Ocean, which is almost 10,000 kilometers wide between it and Asia. Such a distance means that for any country, launching a direct attack on America has been almost impossible. An example of how difficult it is to attack via the sea is the Germany-UK scenario of 1940. Even after conquering Central Europe, Hitler cancelled his plan to attack the UK, and that was simply because his army wasn't confident about crossing the 33-kilometer wide English Channel. Now just imagine, America is thousands of kilometers away from the rest of the world. This is the very reason why, for 2 centuries, America has been safe from any foreign invasion. Yes, in today's times, countries like North Korea and Russia do have such advanced missiles and weapon systems that can target America. But that's an entirely different geopolitical game. When talking about America's weaknesses, it's important to mention a strategic vulnerability of the Mississippi River, and that is Cuba. In fact, all ships traveling via the Mississippi River first enter the Gulf of Mexico, and from there, they head out to the Atlantic Ocean. Cuba lies directly in the path of this route. If Cuba somehow blocks this point, it could deliver a major blow directly to the American economy. Cuba might not be able to do this on its own, but if another world power uses Cuba, the situation could be very different. In 1960, this almost happened when the Soviet Union began deploying nuclear missiles and troops in Cuba. This was the crisis after which the USA directly intervened in Cuba, that they destabilized its government and then imposed such sanctions on it that, even 60 years later, are still in effect. The reason is clear. America cannot take the risk of a developed Cuba directly threatening it or playing into the hands of a global power to choke its vital trade routes, because the economic results of such a scenario would be disastrous for America. But geography is just one of the many natural advantages America has. America is also the world's largest producer of oil and natural gas. In other words, absolute control over the 2 energy sources that power the modern world in the 21st century. America has such vast energy reserves within its own country that it doesn't have to depend on any foreign country for its energy needs. Even if all the OPEC countries unite to boycott America, it wouldn't make much of a difference, because 90% of its gas and oil needs are met through domestic production or imports from Canada. Along with energy, this country is also extremely self-sufficient when it comes to food security. It produces so much wheat, corn, and soybeans that it hasn't faced a food shortage in the past 100 years. Apart from this, America owns the world's 5th largest gold reserves and the 4th largest iron ore reserves. All of this clearly shows that natural resources, geography, and the strategic planning of the founding fathers 200 years ago together made America the global superpower we see today. Just think for a moment how naturally gifted America is. It's truly unbelievable that in the past 100 years, America has neither faced any major threat from an external enemy nor suffered from any shortage of resources. That's why I said at the beginning that it is only natural that any civilization settling in this region would inevitably become a global power. Yes, at the societal and cultural level, America's situation is not perfect. Problems like violence, drugs, racism, and unemployment are continuously increasing. But at the economic level, America still has the capacity to go a long way. The reason is clear. The geopolitical and economic head start that its leadership gave it 200 years ago is not easy to reverse. And then, if we talk about geographic advantages, the strategic position and natural resources that America possesses, such a combination is hardly found in any other country in the world.